This elite airport SWAT team storms a bus reportedly filled with hostages.
Please don't move! Please don't move!
They move in, quickly clear, and secure the scene. It looks all too real. But it's really all intense training to prepare for the worst. Scenes like these.
You're gonna knock her down in front of me?
Suspect, we know you're there. Come out with your hands up.
Played out every day around Los Angeles International Airport, better known as LAX. It's the country's second busiest and a prime target for terrorist attacks. Police Chief David Maggard oversees some 1,100 officers and staff, the largest aviation police force in America, with a budget of more than $200 million annually.
Most, if not perhaps all major airports would never let us in a room like this. Why is it so important to show the public?
We want to make sure that people know that we work hard every day in a variety of different ways to make sure that we keep this airport safe and all of the people that travel through here each and every day at LAX.
Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
Well, I'm a worrier. I think about everything. I think about the possibilities. And then what we try to do is get that information from the other people that have maybe had an experience with a tragic event or with a threat. And we try and gather that information and apply it here.
LAX security has been targeted in a number of high-profile incidents, including the 2002 shooting at an El Al ticket counter and another in 2013, when an active shooter killed a TSA officer and wounded 3 others. That attack resulted in a commissioned report that made a series of recommendations to improve security procedures through better coordination and training.
There's where you can really see the clarity.
We're in what's called the Airport Response Coordination Center, or ARC. Various agencies monitor cameras, social media, and intelligence leads for possible threats.
This is a 24-hour center that really controls the ground movements and all that takes to make an airport like LAX work.
What does all this stand
These
for?
represent threats, significant issues that are going on all over the country right now.
Wow.
They may or may not be fully actualized at the end, but these are what people are responding to kind of in real time.
What's the exclamation point?
There you go.
I see. Protests.
That was perfectly timed, thank you.
The more than 3,500 cameras, mostly Sony HD or 4K, are monitored around the clock from this room. The pan, tilt, zoom cameras are remarkably clear and close up. Plans are in the works to double that amount as the airport undergoes a massive expansion in the run-up to the 2028 Summer Olympics, which the city will now host.
We've learned that anything can happen here. We've spent a lot of time learning from that incident as we have studied other events around the world that have threatened airports. As a result, we've increased our technology. We've added cameras. We've added officers in the terminal areas. Our profile is larger. We've added people to our tactical team. We've enhanced our checkpoint program, which we call Operation Safe Entry.
Operation Safe Entry is a daily random screening of vehicles going into LAX, which means anyone driving in through one of the airport's 5 entrances could have their car examined. There's even more periodic screenings using radiation detection devices, with this truck scanning vehicles. So far, in the 8 years since the program began, nothing harmful has been detected.
How real is the threat of a dirty bomb?
We have to make sure that we're addressing every threat that's imaginable. We have analysts here that are connected virtually around the world to evaluate threats, to evaluate what we can do to intervene in those threats, to protect from those threats. So we are looking at virtually every type of threat that you can imagine, including a dirty bomb.
Chief Maggard says the small inconvenience to the public is worth it.
What's the balance between the necessity of that versus what some of those folks that are going through those checkpoints would consider an intrusion?
If they want to turn around and leave the airport, they have the ability to do that. But if they want to come into the airport, there are some limited legal abilities for us to do some searches. We're looking for anything that might be harmful to the airport environment.
We're behind security, inside hidden passageways at Los Angeles International Airport, where the public isn't allowed. A multi-agency police operation is focusing on the people who work at the airport itself to find anyone deemed an insider threat.
When we work this detail, we have a zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance means something small could turn into something big.
When you look around this terminal, what are you saying?
I'm looking around for opportunists that are preying on the travelers, but mostly I'm looking for some kind of criminal element, something that sticks out that needs to be looked at a little bit more.
It all starts at 9 a.m. in a briefing room at the Aviation Police Department headquarters.
This is the only task force of its kind that does an operation like this in the nation at any major airport.
As teams of officers prepare to head out, Captain Tyrone Stallings tells us there's a clear game plan.
What do you expect to see today?
We usually want to see a show of force, uniforms, high visibility in a certain specific area, and also we want to address the insider threat.
The operation has begun. We see highly visible officers armed with rifles as we ride up the escalator with Lieutenant Henry Acosta in the international terminal. He immediately points out the cameras, over 3,500, scattered around the vast complex of 9 terminals, through which nearly 81 million passengers passed through last year.
If you look around, you'll see the different camera pods all over the place. Those are the ones that you could actually see, and then there's some that inside here that you can't see. So when you're out drinking your latte somewhere and you spill it on you, somebody's probably looking in there and laughing.
It's no laughing matter as we make our way through the back alleyways inside the sprawling terminal. And it doesn't take long for something to happen.
Okay, we're on our way to gate 134.
As we navigate elevators and restricted passages, we eventually wind up on the airfield. Police are questioning this ramp worker, pulled over after a random ID check. It turns out the employee has an active warrant for a pending DUI case.
Hey, go spread your feet for me, please.
He's going to be arrested and likely lose his job.
Seems like the other employees have been watching very closely what's going on too.
They do.
I imagine word's spreading.
Probably the first hour we set up and we started doing everything, they were texting, phoning the other employees, hey, the police are out here.
To get an airport ID badge, all 54,300 employees undergo a criminal background check and get fingerprinted. But the random reviews keep track of whether someone's record has changed. Elsewhere, TSA officers are conducting their own surprise searches of employees. LAX is so serious about the issue, it employs 2 intelligence analysts whose sole job is to look for any and all threats. Anthony McGinty and Michelle Sosa were hired 3 years ago, the first of their kind to work directly for an airport.
Why do you think there's such a fixation with airports and aviation infrastructure and security versus, say, going to Penn Station, which is a busy rail hub in New York, or going to a major utility spot on the electrical grid?
Well, it all comes down to consequence management. I mean, you're attacking whether it be an airliner or an airport, the consequences are huge. This is a hub commercially, socially, culturally.
Their intelligence gathering extends beyond the passenger terminals to cargo areas around LAX, the 5th busiest in the country, with about 2.2 million metric tons passing through each year. Items from iPhones to international mail loaded on and off planes and shipped worldwide.
How real is the insider threat?
I think that is probably one of our top concerns, and we briefed that to the stakeholders, the airline security managers, and they're all aware. I mean, everybody's aware of this. And I think it goes hand in hand with some of the criminal activity that you may see at airports that we pay attention to. If somebody is trying to smuggle bulk cash or drugs, they're getting paid to put something on an aircraft. And the concern is, when are they going to know that it's a bomb and not drugs that they're being asked to put on board?
The TSA has been very good at securing above the wing, but oftentimes below the wing, and what goes on around the airplane, and people who have access to the airplane. In many versions, that's what we're kind of worried about.
Even what appear to be potential low-level threats are routinely monitored. Our cameras captured this inspection of knives at a steakhouse in the international terminal.
And I just need to go inside the kitchen and look at the knives that are currently outstanding right now.
In the kitchen, the knives are all where they should be, a process that takes only a few minutes.
Okay, great. Looks like all the knives that are checked out are all accounted for.
Officer Sean Foley says every single restaurant employee is trained about properly keeping track of cutlery.
It's a pretty daunting process for us, but it's a very important process.
And as the police operation into insider threats is winding down, Lieutenant Acosta reflects on that very issue on everyone's mind: safety.
Knowing what you know about how an airport like LAX operates, is it hard to think about getting on a plane or traveling or just knowing the threats that could be out there?
Me personally, no. You're safe boarding an aircraft and flying. You're safe.